Welcome to Behind the Crown Podcast with your hosts, Brian Hudson and Josh Griffin. Sit back and enjoy these great stories and memories of the Kingsmen Quartet.
Well, you ready to do part two, boys?
Welcome to this great episode of Behind the Crown Podcast with your host, Josh Griffin and Brian Hudson. Brian, how you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well, Josh. How you doing, man? Good to see you.
Good to see you, sir. Good to see you. I tell you, that was a great episode last week with Tim Surrett.
It was, man. I learned some stuff I didn't know, and
I did too. Yeah,
I think I laughed more than I did anything. You know,
That's
I
right.
think I laughed more than the questions I asked. So
I'm telling you, he did a great job, and it was just great. I know the people at home are going to love it too, just as much as we did. It was a great episode. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, this is Behind the Crown Podcast, where we talk about the message and the men and the music of the mighty Kingsmen Quartet, and we want to honor Tim Surrett again this week. He did, like I said, he did a great job last week, and I've always been a fan of his singing and musicianship. But before we turn things over and start asking our collection of questions for Tim tonight, let's talk about a little bit of useless information, Josh. I've been getting emails, I've been getting snail mail. I even had somebody sent a paper airplane, and I picked it up and it said, "How about useless information this week?" So what piece of useless information we got on the podcast tonight?
Well, I'll tell you this. Somebody sent me one via Facebook Messenger as well too. So hey, it's all coming in. Yeah. Oh yeah. So the inventor of Pringles is buried in a Pringles can. Frederick Bauer, I'm going to say that's his name right, the mastermind behind stacking chips in a can. His burial wishes for his ashes to be placed in a Pringles can.
Wow.
After he passed, his family respectfully brought the original flavored Pringle can on their way to the funeral home for the collection of his ashes.
You're kidding, man.
How about that?
I don't know that. That's a little strange to me, but
that's very strange. Yeah.
He inventing Pringles like that. He probably paid for a lot of kids going through college and everything else. He probably paid his house off and everything else due to Pringles. So hey,
he was a full-time company man, wasn't he?
He's a full-time company man. He's going to be buried in the Pringles can. Holy mackerel! That's a new one for me. I've never heard anything like that. That is a great piece of useless information, Josh. That might be the winner so far on all these episodes, you know.
So far, yeah.
That it may be very.
That just means I got to do some more digging, find some more good ones. Yeah.
And I like Pringles. Hey, we were never allowed to have Pringles as a kid because Pringles was way more expensive than regular potato chips. My dad was cheap. Now he made sure he had his Pepsis and his cigarettes, but we didn't have Pringles, you know.
Pringles.
He went and got the generic potato chips, but I'm a potato chip man, so I do eat some Pringles. So
yeah.
But anyway, sure. Well, Bubba, it's good to see you, man, and
hey, buddy.
Appreciate you coming back again this week. That story you told about Fox leaving you in the desert, I think I laughed more and thought about that. That was a great story. You know, you can't make up those kind of stories.
No, that's every speck of that's the truth. And I told that story when they had at the Quartet convention, they'd roast somebody every year.
Yeah.
You know, J.D. Sumner and Hamill, and one year it's Fox. And I told that story. And I'll never forget that night at the table. After we got off stage, there's a line of people there buying stuff. And I looked, and Brock Spear was standing in that line.
Yeah.
And when he got up to the table, he just grabbed my hand and he said, "I just want to tell you how great that story was." I said, "Well, I don't know that I'm naturally funny. I just told the truth, you know."
Yeah.
That was a fun day.
Oh, God. That's right.
Well,
mercy.
I'm going to kick things off tonight, Bubba. Josh had asked one of your favorite songs.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you, what was some of your favorite things about life on the road? What was some of your favorite things about life on the road?
I enjoyed all of it. You know, the first, I want to say 3 years or so I was there, me and Greg Fox and Gary Dillard did all the driving. So,
yeah.
I mean, I felt like I was, for a long time, every concert was a morning show to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They'd get me up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, take a shower and go to the building, you know, but just the guys.
Yeah.
We had more fun. We had I guess it was the first edition of the PlayStation.
Yeah.
In the back of the bus. And we would play don't know if it's Madden football or whatever that was.
Yeah.
And there was a time or two after we got a driver, we'd sit back there and be playing, look out the window, and the sun was coming up, And Randy Miller was real good at it, but he wouldn't watch the clock.
Okay.
So he would be about to score, and the whistle would blow, and he'd lose by 2 points or something, and throw a fit. Just some fun times like that, and days off on those long trips. We'd go to ball games and all that kind of stuff. That's the crazy fun stuff we did.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one, and I won't belabor the point, but one of the funniest things that ever happened, we'd played in Evansville, Indiana again at that Scottish Rider, Knights of Columbus, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And it was always an afternoon thing. And we were supposed to be in Fort Wayne the next night. So we had a night off, had a hotel on the night off. Walked through the lobby, and this scary looking dude, leather and skull on his clothes, jumped up and said, "Y'all the Kingsmen?" "Yeah, man. How are you?" He's like, "Man, I'm Buster Everett. I used to drive for Wendy Bagwell."
Oh,
We said, "Well, that's cool. Are you driving?" "Oh, yeah, I'm driving now. Y'all want to go to the show tonight?" And I said, "Well, who is it?" He said, "Metallica."
oh my word.
And I said, "Why not?" And he went fishing out backstage passes like playing cards,
Yeah.
And so there's a bunch of us. I don't remember who all it was, but it was Anthony and me and Greg, and I want to say Rory and maybe Parker Johnson, piled in a cab and went to Summit Coliseum to see Metallica.
Wow.
Anthony still had his Quartet suit on with a Metallica patch stuck on it.
Well,
Stick out like a sore thumb, yeah.
And I said, my favorite thing ever, I said, "Anthony, have you ever been to a rock and roll concert?" "Oh, yeah. I saw the Carpenters in Knoxville one time."
A little bit different than the
I said, "Oh, it's just like that. It's just like that."
Yeah.
And we
Just
didn't,
like
stay,
it,
we didn't stay but about 20 minutes, but just the look on their faces was priceless, man.
Man.
It was priceless.
Goodness.
Oh, that is great, man.
Just stuff like that,
Yeah.
I didn't play golf. So, a lot of times I'd get up and they'd be half the bus was empty. They'd be gone,
Yeah. Yeah.
So just days and guys and laughing and just the laughing,
Yeah.
Weathers. And I'll tell you what I always loved. Hamill would be laying on that couch and Ray sitting at his table every night, whether I was driving or just sitting up there talking to him, whatever. He'd say, "Ray, will you turn the air down? I'm about to freeze to death." And Ray would say, "Hamill, if I turn it down, it's going to get colder." You know what I mean? Turn the air conditioning down so it'll warm up. "Hamill, if I turn it down," and they'd get in a brawl 2 nights out of 4 every week,
About the air. Well, it was cold on there.
Oh, you could hang meat in there, but
Good, man. That was cold on there.
yeah, but Hamill would say, "Yeah, turn the air down. It is down. If I turn it down, it's going to get colder."
Oh, that's good.
That's great, man. That is great.
Oh, mercy. Well, I tell you what, Brian, since you and Tim both sang these 2 songs,
Okay.
both of y'all just talk about, I know the fans would like to hear this, both of y'all talk about "Wish You Were Here" and "Rise Up from the Grave." I know, Tim, you introduced both of them. And
Yeah.
Right.
when you come on after Tim, you sung them as well, too. But
Yeah.
if y'all got any special stories of those songs, y'all just feel free. Because those are great songs, and I know everybody loves them. Kingsman fans, just feel free to talk about them. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like I was saying earlier, "Wish You Were Here." We had no clue. We just knew it was great words, great.
Yeah.
And the boys that wrote it,
Yes.
Michael Williams, who's passed away now, and our buddy Jim Stover.
Yeah.
It was basically kind of a simple melody and the words. And we tried on the bus with the piano hooked up and a guitar.
Yeah.
To make that song fit the Kingsmen, and it just wasn't happening. It wasn't working. And I finally looked at Hamill and I said, "Hamill, do you like the Eagles?" And he said, "Yeah, what I've heard of them, I like it. It's beautiful singing and stuff." I
Yeah.
said, "This song reminds me of an Eagle song." And I started doing one of the Eagle songs, kind of that thing on the guitar,
Yeah.
and started kind of him hawing around singing it. He's like, "I kind of like that." and we fell in on it, and that's kind of where that come from. And we, like I say, we had no idea what that song was going to become.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if I sang it or you sang it or Jason sang it or whoever.
Yeah.
It has the effect. And
yeah.
How many funerals has that song been sung?
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Matter of fact, today I had a friend passed away, and her funeral's this weekend, and I can't go to it. And so her husband asked if I would record that song, and they're going to play it at her funeral. And I've sung it like you. I've sung it at hundreds of funerals, it seems.
Yeah.
You know? And it's one of those songs that it's timeless. It really is timeless.
Yeah. Great songs are.
Yep.
And that one, yeah. And that one, and I'm probably told it to Josh before, but one of my favorite memories back in the Kingsmen Gold City days, especially those early Kings Gold heydays and stuff, Ivan and Brian and Michael Fever and all that. And we had so much fun, but we took turnabout going last because we were together every Friday and Saturday night, it seemed like.
Right.
And one night we were at the auditorium there in Chattanooga, and Gold City, it was their night to go first. And they just destroyed the place, destroyed it. And I don't care who you are, when you're standing over in the corner and they're singing, "I'm getting ready to leave this world," and you can see the dust shaking out of the rafters, people are just losing their minds. We thought, what in the world? And we got in our spots, and introduced us, and the quartet walked out, and Hamilton turned around to Anthony and said, "Wish you were here."
Oh.
And we opened with it, and I fell in on "How Beautiful Heaven Must Be" or something.
Yeah.
And it turned into Chattanooga Live.
Can't beat. Yeah.
And we did a 45-minute set and did 4 songs. And they said it was like, "Wish You Were Here," "How Beautiful Heaven Must Be," "He's All I Need," "Old Ship of Zion."
Wow.
Yeah.
And we come off stage, I'll never forget that, and it was an absolute meltdown. And Mark Bishop was standing there. He said, "If I hadn't seen it, I'd never believed it." No fast songs, not one.
Yeah.
About one of the best stands I was ever on.
Wow.
As far as "Rise from the Grave," that one, it just sung itself. You know that.
Yeah.
It was just such a great song. And Jack Toney wrote that song and sung it better than we ever did.
Oh, I've never heard the demo, but I would love to hear the demo.
Well, yeah, he sang all 3 parts and played the piano on it.
Wow.
Goodness.
It was ridiculous.
One of my favorite singers. And
absolutely.
Now did I think I got this right. Did Hamill arrange that where you all do the false ending, and it comes back?
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah.
That Hamill's idea for that?
Yeah. Yeah, as best I remember, I think it was.
Okay.
Because it was always get to that, go to the 4 if you can do it,
Yeah.
And that was a powerhouse. That one was a great one.
Wow.
I know those 2 songs I was doing, and it's kind of funny because when I first went in '96, you had made those songs famous,
right?
And you had fans, man. You had fans that when I come in and I was doing "Wish You Were Here" and "Rise from the Grave," I had people walking out.
Oh yeah, I remember one bunch did that. You know what was wild was I think the first night that you were with them and I was with the Isaacs, we were together, weren't we?
Yeah, I think so.
Because I ended up playing the guitar.
Yeah.
And I remember that. And I remember chewing some people up that did that. I chewed them out pretty hard.
Well, I'll never forget. We were in Florida somewhere, and I'd been there maybe 3 weeks. I was with the King for 3 weeks, and Parker and Ray took me aside and said, "Now listen, there's going to be a family tonight. They love some Tim Surrett." And I said, "Well, I love him too." And they said, "Yeah, we know." I said, "Just be ready. Just be ready. There's going to be a family, and they love him, and they're not going to like you just because you took his place."
Right.
So, it was us in Gold City, maybe the McCameys or somebody. So, we were all in the big, huge lobby. We got this. I was on the table crew. I work
Sure.
at the table, and this family comes in, mom and dad and two daughters, and Parker kind of nods like that's them. So they come up and they speak to Parker. They speak to Ray. They don't speak to me at all. They don't even look in my direction.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, concert starts. We get on the stage. It's funny now, but honestly, it's funny then. But they were sitting in the balcony, and I could see them. We started our first song, whatever it was. I think it was "Give the World a Smile" or something, And anything that featured me, they had all four of them had a magazine. Might have been the Singing News, and every time they featured me, they'd pick a magazine up. They'd read the magazine. But when they would introduce Chris and the band, they clapped and applauded. When it came to introduce me, they folded their arms. And
that's the true spirit of Christian love, right there.
They loved you, man. They loved you.
Well, I had the same thing happen a time or two when Arthur left.
Yeah.
Because I could not hit Arthur's thing. There was no way. Maybe by the end of the time of the Kingsmen, but not
right
then. I had to learn how to sing back in them days because I never intended to,
Yeah. Well, yeah. But they,
but those were funny days. But those two songs, they were good for me, and I know once they get over that goofiness like that, it don't matter who sings them. A great song's a great song.
And it goes back to the power of a song,
Yeah, sure.
And we've talked about this on earlier episodes. Personnel's going to change, just like every gospel group, And here's the thing: had Arthur not left the Kingsmen, we probably maybe not have heard of Tim Surrett.
Well,
I'm saying so change is inevitable, and nobody likes change. And back when I was a fan, man, I didn't, no,
of course not.
I didn't like change. I didn't like when tenors would leave and a new tenor would come in, or a new baritone, or a new lead, or what. I was the same way, when musician would leave. Well, who's this new guy? So I totally get that, but it goes back to the personnel are going to change.
Yeah, they got
to have good material and good song. You just have to have good song.
Yeah. Well, we talked about Rise from the Grave. Nobody in the history of the world ever had a harder job replacing somebody than Jack Toney did.
That's true. Replacing
you follow J.K.S. with a Statesman? Are you kidding me?
Yes. Yeah.
Forget it, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right. Wow. Goodness. Hey, goodness.
Fans of the Kingsmen are very loyal. Okay. And we're thankful they are. They embrace the new guys, and when somebody comes in and leave. But sometimes they say some pretty strange or funny things. I was going to ask you if you ever heard a funny or a strange thing a fan may have said to you or something that you want to share.
Well, we all laughed. It became a bus standard over the years. Is Big Ray Fox still with you, or old Big Ray still with you, or Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's nothing.
And what was funny about that? They try to. They're going to
get mad.
Convincing you how well they know the group.
Yeah,
and they'll say something like that. They're going to convince you how good of friends they are, but they don't. They call elders. They called him Elmer. Yeah, how's Elmer?
Elmer Fox. Yeah.
Or
they'd say something like, that song you sang, When I Get Carried Away. Or I love to hear you sing that. Well, now technically, I never did do that one. Oh, yes, you did. You remember that?
Yeah, you did. I heard you.
Oh, yeah, you did too. All right. Well, you know more. or my all-time favorite, and this still happens, and this is when they come and say, "You remember me?" Well, sure I do. What's my name?
Oh no!
Oh yeah.
I thought, well, your old buddy, and that's your wife, Sweetie.
There you go. Oh, that's great. Yeah.
They a lot of times they seen you one time, and they expect you to know their name. And
well, and that's all right. I mean, gospel music, one of the things that makes it great is that there's, if you go see the Eagles or somebody, you're probably not going to wander up on them. They ain't coming to the table.
That's true. That's true.
And the interaction with the crowd was always, and still is to this day, in bluegrasses.
Yeah,
it's one of my favorite parts of it. Some people hate that, and I have to question what's the point.
Yeah, true.
But I'm like, the funnier the better. I didn't care.
Yeah,
I learned if it was something crazy, And there are,
Yeah.
some crazy ones out there.
Yeah.
And there's nothing worse that somebody's crazy and thinks it's God's will for them to be crazy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Stuff like that, you just had to out crazy them sometimes,
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
because I mean, it's in any form of work, you run into that kind of stuff. But boy, in
Mhm.
churches or stuff like that, it can get out there.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I've had people down here that see me at the concerts and they said, well, you talked to so-and-so with such and such quartet. How do you know them? I said, I just walk up to them, speak to them. I mean,
Yeah.
just be normal.
Yeah.
Don't act crazy. They're like you and me. I mean, they got a lot more talent than me, but they're just normal people,
Yeah, there's nothing on the planet that's worse than a gospel star. God
Yeah.
bless.
Yeah.
I can't stand that.
I remember you speaking about that. Nick
Yeah.
Succi sent me a recording he did. Y'all somewhere, and you was talking about you was walking with another singer in a mall, and they just kept on. And Tim said,
Yeah.
"Well, we'll ask
I
this
won't
person
mention who
coming
that
up."
was.
Yeah,
I won't mention who that was, but we were sitting in like one of them little food court restaurants. And
Yeah.
this guy was going on about how this was beneath him and he could be making more money and he's bigger than the whole thing. And there was a lady sweeping.
Okay.
And I just stopped her and said, "Ma'am, do you know who this is?" And she just went, "No," and went back to sweeping. I said, "There you go."
Yeah.
yeah. That's right. Hey, gracious. Oh, that's good. That's good stuff. Yes, sir. Oh, mercy. Tim, I'll ask you right quick. You talked about it a little bit earlier, but any particular group, maybe bluegrass or gospel, or singers that inspired you over the years that just helped you perfect your craft per se, as far as playing or singing?
Well, in the gospel world, when I first joined that quartet when I was a senior in high school, was Live Naturally had just come out.
Yeah.
They were wearing it out. They had an 8-track player in that Silver Eagle, and they were wearing that out. And I kind of fell in on that, and it hooked me.
Yeah.
And about that same year or a little before was when Beulah Land came out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was half a mile from where I'm sitting right now when I heard it the first time,
Yeah.
and just stopped in the middle of the road. I never heard singing prettier than that in my life.
Yeah.
And those kinds of, and then I found out Squire Parsons was with the Kingsmen. I had no idea for 2 or 3 years,
Okay.
and started getting those old records. And then I fell in love with all of them. And the guys I was singing with, I'll tell you who it was, Brian. Kermit Jamerson.
Oh yeah, Kermit. Yeah.
Kermit's boys. Jerry and Mike and I and their cousin Gerald had a quartet. That's who I was singing with.
Did not know that.
Yeah. And and they were all into the statesman
Okay.
kind of thing. And we tried to do that, and it was a horrible failure. But but then I got hooked on that old stuff, and still love it. The statesman and some of the Blackwoods, and all of that stuff. But bluegrass was always a huge part of my world. Thing I loved about bluegrass, what drove me to it hard was 70s music, and I'm talking about radio music, not gospel music. 70s music was so good.
Yeah.
It was so good. And I know you're sentimental about whatever you grew up on, but you had on any given day on the radio, you had Kansas and Styx and, all those kinds of bands. The Eagles, of course, were in their heyday and all that great stuff. And then about 1980, the keyboard synthesizer thing hit, and I hated it. Hated everything about it. And it drove me back to bluegrass because all I wanted was 4 guys or 5 guys and their instruments and their voices. That's all I wanted.
Yeah.
And that's the authenticity of it.
Yes. The simplicity of it too. Yes.
Drove me to bluegrass. And that's why I don't know that I could have ever lived in the track world very well. I tried,
Yeah.
I sang on my own for a couple of years, but I still played a guitar or something,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But that the authenticity of it is what I loved.
Yeah.
And those bands, the Kingsmen, and of course the Cathedrals in those days, who we went on to become great friends. The Inspirations, I loved them growing up here.
Yeah.
But those kinds of groups, and in the bluegrass world, there's so much of it around here. Growing up, the old time music. I mean, might just be a fiddle and an old time banjo kind of thing.
Yeah.
The mountain thing which I never got away from, even though I studied opera for all those years to try to sing with the Kingsmen.
Yeah.
You never get away from that. And it's served me very well over the last nearly 20 years after I kind of retired from that world, you know. The reason I did kind of sort of get out of the Kingsman thing because I couldn't sing anymore. I got down and my voice was gone and I couldn't, I was MCing then, but we had to take a guy with us on trips sometimes to sing my part.
Yeah.
And that, it was heartbreaking and I didn't know what I was going to do. But I tell you, it's one plan for all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's been a glorious thing these last almost 20 years doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But those kinds of, that old time bluegrass stuff, Ricky Skaggs, Tony Rice, who I ended up playing with a lot.
Wow. Yeah.
It's playing with Tony Rice for me. And I know y'all are not very familiar with him or at all. Tony Rice was the guy that made me want to learn to play bluegrass. And I ended up playing with him in the latter years of his life and recording. Well, the first album I recorded with him, I was still with the Kingsmen.
Okay. I think I remember you hearing about that. Yeah.
But that's like getting to play with him and travel with him. I don't even know how you can, it'd be like, well, why don't you just get on the bus and go with the Statesmen or the Happy Goodmans or whoever, or Squire and Ernie and Hamill and them. So I've got to live that twice,
Yeah.
That's a blessing right there.
Sure.
And it's funny, not funny. I was serious about it. When the first record Tony and I did together was an all hymns instrumental album. He'd done everything else in the world.
Yeah.
He didn't even know any of the songs except two. He knew Amazing Grace and he knew Swing Low Sweet Chariot because Bill Monroe had done it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it was my goal to get those words into Tony Rice.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget it. Y'all have to YouTube him to see who he was, but we were in the studio and it's me and him and David Johnson.
Okay.
And it was a spectacular record. He said, "This is a beautiful song, man. What's the name of this song?" I said, "I have decided to follow Jesus." And he said, "Well, me too, but what's the name of this song?"
Oh, goodness.
Oh,
yeah.
man, that's awesome.
Those are the people that made me want to do it, Made Anthony and Greg. The first time I walked out there with them, even though I'd played in the studio with them, it was overwhelming,
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's great. That is good.
We mentioned on last episode about we gave your stats about albums you did with the Kingsmen but you were on several I think great records and that was really man I wore these recordings out live in Dayton. Of course I was there the night y'all did that. And
I didn't know that.
You guys were in Dayton, Ohio the night before. You did live in Dayton, and then the next night you went to Indianapolis and did Indiana Live.
Right. Which was 3 or 4
really
songs
was kind of it was Gold City Kingsman, Heaven Bound.
Gerald Wolf.
Yeah.
Gerald Wolf was there when he was solo.
So I was there for that. And of course you're on the Judgment singing in the sun live. And that was a great record too.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's where you did what was the song you featured on that? I'm trying to think. My mind was blank.
Which record?
On Singing in the Sun.
Oh gosh.
I think it's where you all gave your testimonies, wasn't it?
Might have been.
Yeah.
All the good things. All the good things.
Yeah. And I couldn't play that song again if you put a gun to my head right now, but it was a good one.
Good
and
song.
I don't remember who wrote it, but it was a good song, man. It was a good
any special memories on those records, Live in Dayton, The Judgment, and Singing in the Sun?
Live in Dayton, I was terrifying because it was the first one.
Yeah.
But it was good. And we did The Judgment on that, didn't we?
I think so, yeah.
Or is that the one we did He's All I Need on, or both?
You did The Judgment on that.
Okay.
Y'all did Go and Tell Somebody in the Name of Jesus.
Yeah. Oh, I love
song.
that song. Gary Shepard sung a hot on.
Yeah, man, that was great. When He Comes, the Sainted Millions.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think y'all did Raise Your Hand on that, didn't you? That was your feature on there?
Might have been.
Raise Your
We
Hand.
did the Real Good Feel Good song.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Country cover, That's the first song I ever heard one Sunday morning. I guess they released that song, and I was coming home. I woke up on the bus on a Sunday,
Yeah.
and was coming home, and I had the Grand Ole Opry station tuned in, 650.
Okay.
And Paul Howell was on that station then, and he played that song, and I about run out of the road. I was like, "Oh my Lord, I'm on 650 WSM."
That's right. So you full time now. You full time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And but I remember, go and tell somebody, and I know I told Josh this, but did we open up with that?
Yeah. Jeff Gibson wrote
Mhm.
that. Y'all open
Well,
up with that.
Jeff brought that song on the bus, and Hamill told him he hated it,
Oh, okay.
and he was lying the whole time. And Jeff had just sung a song into a jam box, clapping his hands, and Hamill just chewed his face off. I can't believe you'd come to the Kingsmen with a demo like that and expect us to cut. And he knew he liked it.
Yeah.
And Jeff just got off a bus feeling like, terrible. And then there we were together 2 or 3 months later.
Yeah.
Jeff was standing right there in the curtain, and we kicked off with it, and he was jumping up and down like he was exercising.
That's great. That is great.
Oh man,
That's
But
great.
that was, those were fun times, man. But yeah, I just remember immense relief when it was over with.
Oh yeah, yes.
And
sir.
then I probably had to drive that night, so it's the star part wears off pretty quick.
It wears off. Well, and people, we've talked about this before with people. They see that 2 hours you're on the stage.
Oh yeah.
They don't see the load in. They don't see the riding through the night. They don't see the bus breakdowns. And you got to load all your stuff into a van or a couple cars. And you got to
How many nights did I reach out that little window by the driver's seat and grab a handful of rainwater and wipe my face with it?
Oh, just try to stay awake.
Just trying not to kill everybody. You know?
Wow.
Yeah. And back then, you just scanned the radio all night long trying to stay awake.
Yeah. Because there's nothing worse than getting sleepy behind the wheel, man.
Yeah. And that's all. I feel like I've done that for a living.
Yeah. Well,
it broke my heart when Beaver left. But Eldridge said, "What do you think you three could handle it for a while, and we'll hire a driver?" And we said, "Let's give it a whirl."
Yeah,
because there was no replacing Beaver, with that steel and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a happy day for me when the driver showed up.
I guarantee you.
But the first one we got was terrible. He'd drive about 2 hours and then wake me up again.
Oh no.
He'd say, "Son, can you help me out? I'm dying." Well,
Wow.
You find out over the years that some of them guys just took a job driving and he'd just sit up there and sing real loud, like he's trying to get hired,
Yes.
And yeah, he didn't last long when he realized that wasn't going to happen. He was gone,
Yeah. Well, yeah, we took a driver one time. I was there, and he was a singer, and I'd heard of him because back in the day before I was ever in gospel music, I studied the singing news, and so if anybody had a song on the radio that put it on a compilation, and they were a singer, I knew their name because I read everything from cover to cover in the singing news. Okay, and so this guy gets on the bus, he's going to be a driver, and I say, well, I know a guy, I think he's a singer, and ended up he wanted to go and hang out with during the concert.
Yeah, and then he couldn't drive
out by the table or hang up, behind stage while we were singing,
trying to get a job.
He'd get under the wheel, and he wouldn't last 2 hours because he's wore out. He was sleeping.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, he ain't gonna last.
No. Now we did have one. Did you ever know Sam Orsita?
I don't think I know that.
I think he was there when I went back.
Okay.
With the Carolina boys, he was the driver, and he could sing, but he didn't care nothing about it all that much. But he could sing, and he was loud and high. And me and Jeff Easter worked up this gag.
Yeah.
And boy, Jeff would come out there and say, "Boy, we really outsung you boys tonight, didn't we?" And the crowd would laugh. I'd say, "You ain't nothing." I said, "Y'all are so bad." I said, our bus driver stand over there, he can outsing you. And he'd come out there and just kill it, I don't think he could sing. I don't know if Sam could sing harmony or not, but he'd sing some old hymn or something and just tear it up, and Jeff would act all mad, he's a big stick,
Oh,
that's
gracious.
fun.
But yeah, those were fun.
That's a good thing.
Oh, man, that's right. Well, Tim, we'll ask you a couple more questions. If you don't mind, was there a moment that y'all were singing somewhere that God just really just took in and stepped over? I took over.
Oh,
I know you
yeah.
talked about that King's Gold in the previous episode, but any other that you can think of?
Yeah. The Singing in the Sun, that live album,
Yeah.
was recorded. We just got off the cruise, of course, Brian. We were in Orlando, I guess, or wherever that was done. We just had got off the cruise, and we had 2 nights. It was the Kingsmen's concert.
Okay.
And we recorded the second night.
Gotcha.
My big regret is that we didn't record the first night.
Really? Okay.
I don't remember what we got to singing, and the cathedrals were there that night. Just Kingsmen and cathedrals, and I don't know what we got to singing, but it broke loose.
Mm.
And they made it one of them deals where even Hamill was tore down.
Wow.
And we were, I don't know, How Beautiful Heaven Must Be or whatever it was. And David Ring was sitting in the front row.
Okay.
Just got off the cruise, all them people were there.
Right.
And Hamill just motioned for David. He stood up, and Hamill just pitched him a mic.
Yeah.
We just stopped, and David did that. I have cerebral palsy. What's your problem?
Yeah.
And it was about an hour and a half.
Wow.
It was about an hour and a half. The other thing I remember was in the latter days when I was about to go away from the Kingsmen the second time. We were in California. And I remember because my dad was on the road with us. He used to go with us quite often after he retired. We were on one of them trips, and I don't know if we'd been to eat or what. It was noonish or something like that.
Yeah.
Me and Philip, I guess, maybe.
Yeah.
We were walking back to the bus, and we got to the bus, and there's a black lady standing there, kind of rough looking, and she's standing there looking at that bus, and she started talking, and I said, "How you doing, dear? How's it going?" And she started talking, and the rest of the guys got on the bus, and I stood there. She said, "What kind of deal is this? Y'all got a thing like that?" And we started talking.
Yeah.
And she told me she was raised in church, and but bad stuff had happened to her.
Yeah.
In church, and she had got out, of course, and was basically homeless.
Wow.
And we started talking, and I knew then something was up. And when the smoke cleared, we stood there. Me and that lady talked for 3 hours standing there. The rest of the guys went off the bus, got showered, cleaned up, come back to the bus, and I was still standing in the parking lot talking to this woman. And we stood there for 3 hours and finally prayed. She prayed, and everything was great. And I just remember how unbelievable a day that was and how bad sunburned I got.
Okay.
Yeah, that was just one of those times. Didn't have nothing to do with singing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had anything ever happen like that before or since.
Yeah.
I just remember my dad standing in the windshield of that bus looking at me, like, this is something.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of my bluegrass buddies reminded me is a guy named Josh Williams, world-class player. His dad, did you ever sing at the Kentucky Opry?
Yes. Yes.
Out there in Western Kentucky?
Yeah.
He come to shows out there. I ended up playing with him with Tony Rice, world-class singer and player. But we were going somewhere on one of those Tony Rice trips, and he said, "Do you remember that night you gave an altar call out of the blue at the Kentucky Opry?" I said, "No." And he said, "Well, it sure did happen."
Wow.
I've never gotten over it where, when the shouting would break out, Hamill would grin at me. He'd poke me and say, "Son, nothing entertains like the real thing."
That's right.
He said, I'm going to entertain them. He said,
Yeah.
"If you don't think it ain't entertainment, just stand there like a stump and see how many of them show back up."
Right.
Yeah.
True.
He said,
That's
"It's
true.
my job to entertain them, but nothing entertains like the real thing."
That's
Yeah,
true.
true.
That's very true. That's very true.
That's great. Yes.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's those moments, like you said, a lot of times off the stage, off the platform. It's
Yeah.
when you realize,
Yeah.
when you realize the responsibility the Lord gives us. And,
Yeah. And how little you actually have to do with it.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Yeah. He didn't, I just happened to be in the right spot that day, but you realize that he'll accomplish what he's going to accomplish, whether
will.
I'm here,
He
whether
will.
I'm willing to be there or not.
Right. Very
Yeah.
true. Very
That's
true.
right. Yes, sir.
Were you talked a moment ago about Philip, and Philip passed away back in
Sure.
2024, and spent 2 or 3 years we're singing with the Kingsmen and singing lead, and
Yeah.
such a great guy and such an
Yeah.
encourager, and
The best.
you know, we've lost a lot of Kingsmen alumni in the last several years, and some of the guys I'm going to mention you got to travel with,
Right.
and do you have maybe a story on these guys, or a funny
I'm
story
sure I
on
do.
something you want to share? We'll go ahead and start with Philip. You got anything about Philip?
Philip, as you probably know, had the weakest stomach
Yeah, well, yeah, he did.
on the planet, and it was unreal. He would just anything could make him gag, and that was when the rest of the guys learn that, it's tormenting time for somebody.
is,
You know, it's
yeah.
very locker roomish. The bus is always on.
Yes.
But just how funny he was. I remember him getting mad. You know how much he loves sports, and we were always had ball games on.
Oh yeah.
And he was, and the madder he'd get, the higher his voice would go. And whoever he was pulling for was getting beat. And he said, "Baba, we're about 2 minutes from not caring who plays in the Super Bowl."
Oh man. That's
Boy,
good.
yeah, he was so good, man. We had a lot of fun laughing and carrying on, and just
And he had more pair of tennis shoes than any man alive.
Oh, he was dressed. He was one of them gospel music dress up guys, you know,
Oh, he was, man.
ties and hankies, and he just
Oh,
liked
yeah.
me. I wore the same thing, you know, every night.
Oh man.
But yeah, he
how
was
about
always to the nines. I was like, let me go. I don't want to stand next to you anymore.
I know, man.
He had that. I never did get that fashion sense like so many of them get. You know, I think Greg Fox tried to help me, but I still, you know, I always said me and Ernie Phillips. He said you buy these boys $500 suit and they still look like they fell off a log truck. You know.
Oh man. Hey, great.
How about Burger? You got any thoughts on
Anthony.
Burger?
Yeah. Anthony was my first buddy with the Kingsmen, and he was my friend before that.
Yeah.
He's the one that got me in the Kingsmen. He was the one pulling for that.
Yeah.
Because he loved my bass playing, and we played on tons of records before I ever got there. You know.
Yeah.
And we had fun. We had a lot of fun, and we had that studio life that was separate.
Yeah.
From the group, and those were great days. We played on a session every Monday, and then I would come in with some other folks and sing backup to whoever it was on Tuesday. We'd mix on Wednesday and leave Wednesday night. You know, I was young, not married. I didn't care.
Yeah.
Back in those days, we'd stay in the studio till 3 or 4 in the morning. You know,
Wow.
just loved every note and every second. It was me and Anthony and Tony Kreisman on so many of those things.
Wow.
David Johnson came along a year or two later and became such a magical part of everything.
Yeah, you guys were a team. I'm telling you.
We played on hundreds of records.
Yep.
And had a lot of fun. And I still play on a lot of them with David and Tony too.
Yeah.
Not like that, Bo. They're usually some kind of acoustic thing, but
right.
But Anthony was my first buddy in that, and we had a lot of fun on the cruises and, you know, all that kind of stuff, and spent all those hours in the back of that bus.
Yeah.
And he was funny. He was so funny about a lot of stuff, you know, but he was a good friend. And it was, they called me from the cruise ship when he died. Gaither and them called me right in the same living room I'm sitting in now.
Wow.
But Anthony just fell and he's gone.
Wow.
They called me from the ocean. I couldn't believe it.
Wow.
But yeah, he was a showman, man. And he was,
he was, man.
And he could play. He brought a lot to the table. You know, he could really get after it, and hard to replace. But I think we did it the right way with Randy Matthews, because Randy Matthews, and this will be blasphemy to a lot of people. Anthony was the greatest quartet piano player I think that ever lived. Randy Matthews was a better band player.
Really?
Yeah. Randy Matthews was the guy that sat there in the pocket.
Yeah.
And it was a band. And I know that it's hard to make people that don't play understand that. But I mean, with Anthony, it was just hang on, let's see if we all get to the end at the same time. You know?
Right to the end.
Yeah, we used to laugh and say, with all of us, we'd say, whoever gets to the turnaround first gets a solo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a once in a lifetime talent.
Yes.
Well, how about Beef? Gary
Beaver.
Dillard.
Beaver. Yeah, I was Paul Bear at his funeral.
Hmm.
Gary was old Beav was so much fun, and he loved old timey music like I do.
Yeah.
Old bluegrass and country and stuff, and me and him and Greg, again, there was a special bond there for all that driving, you know.
Yeah.
Just trying to help each other survive it. And Gary Dillard, that harmonica was great and all the other stuff, but that steel guitar, man.
Oh yeah, man.
There's no way to describe how that filled up a stage.
Yeah.
And how empty it felt when he was gone.
Yeah.
It just felt like everything was gone, you know, as far as just the warmth. And even if he wasn't taking a solo or something,
Yeah.
the chords and stuff. But we had so much fun and laughed and carried on, and in his latter years, man, we hung out a lot. He'd come to hear us play a lot with Balsa Range, and we were always going to eat or something. He'd say, "Man, I'm coming by the studio. Let's go eat," you know.
Yeah.
And just stuff like that.
Did he miss the playing? I mean, traveling, did he miss that?
I don't think he did. You know, he was a respiratory therapist.
Right.
And he got up to where he was like teaching it.
I think one of the other guys told that. Yeah.
Yeah, he did it in the hospitals and stuff for some years, and then he ended up teaching it in colleges and stuff.
Okay. Wow.
So no, I don't. And then I guess he retired and came back to. When he retired, they moved back up here around Silva.
Okay.
Which is 30, 40 minutes west of here.
Yeah.
So we hung around every time he come to Asheville. I was at the studio all the time then, and we would get together and eat and stuff. And I knew he was going downhill, and he fought it hard. And me and Greg and Bob Conley, speaking of old Kingsmen players,
Bob,
we went down there for his funeral and sung. We sung "Wish You Were Here," and then a bunch of the old guys were around, and Trammell and Bob and some of them. We sang "Old Ship of Zion."
Yeah, I saw a video of that. I couldn't make it for his funeral. I was messaging him a little bit back and forth on Facebook and checking on him.
Gary Beaver's one of them guys. When somebody joined the group, he made it a point to befriend that person.
Yeah,
and him and Judy, I had been there a week. Hey, you're coming over Monday night. We're gonna have supper, you know. And I remember him doing it with Parker and whoever, you know.
Yeah.
And they would just befriend you, and it was very much a family type thing.
Oh yeah.
And it reminds me of me and my son. He's a senior now, and I'm telling him, you befriend those freshmen and sophomores.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna be watching you and looking up to you, and
that's true.
And that's the way Beaver was with us.
Yeah, that's very true. How about Big Jim? How about Ham? Yeah. Funny stories on Ham?
Well, it's just every day was a funny story. You know, he was just who he was, and he had a reputation that some of it was deserved and some of it wasn't, but he was good to me.
Yeah.
He was so good to me, and he would tell me, just like I said earlier, he'd say, "You just go with it, son, and if I don't like it, I'll tell you."
Yeah.
And on stage, he'd just turn around to me and say, "Just do something." Whatever you would do. He never told me what song to sing. He was not the one that ever said, "Dude, how beautiful heaven must be," or something. He'd just say, "Son, take your liberty."
Yeah.
You know, he knew I knew what to do, and I was going to do something that he would approve of, you know. And
right.
I remember him, the sweet times, the funny times were what they were, and there was thousands and millions of them.
Yeah.
But the sweet times, I remember him telling me one time, he said, you and Gary Shepherd have taught me things.
Wow.
And he said, taught me, you know, he said, I used to be ready to fight at the drop of the hat. And he came through the gospel music world when they did, you know.
Oh yeah. Well, cutthroats.
Cutthroat, hooray for me and the heck with you, he always said.
Yeah.
And if we could bury you, we would. He said, you and Shepherd have taught me that there's no point in that.
Wow.
There's no point in that, you know? So, but yeah, there's, God bless. One of my favorites, and if I said it on the other show, I apologize, but one of my favorite times, I don't know why, but it was a Sunday evening and we were coming home, and you know, if it'd been a long trip, I would help a driver. You know,
Yeah.
Sunday afternoon, everybody's in bed but Hamill and Ray, and they were watching the movie back there, and I was tired, but I was driving that afternoon, and I turned the radio up and I was listening to something, and Hamill said, "Hey, you don't turn that radio off. Me and Ray's coming down there and whip your rear end." And I said, well, you two just come on. I don't think you can do it. And it got quiet for just a few seconds, deathly quiet. And then he said, "Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead and play your music. We don't think we can do it either."
No, that's great. That is great.
Just, he was fun in them days, man, especially the early days when he wasn't feeling bad. And
Yeah.
How about there's one night he had chewed somebody out. I don't remember who it was. And I was mad at him.
Yeah.
Because I told him one time, and I told him up front, I said, "Jim," I said, "you will never have to tell me nothing twice, not once." I said, "If you tell me to take my coat off and crowd surf, I'll do it."
Yeah.
I said, "But I will not be yelled at."
Wow.
There's only one man in this world that yelled at me. And you know who he is, you know. And I said, "But you'll never have to, but I will not be yelled at." I said, "I played football. Them days are over." But he had chewed somebody that day, and it made me mad.
Yeah.
Remember who it was? And we got out on stage, and I was just thinking, I may take this bass by the neck and just poleaxe him right here in front of these people. and somebody else was singing some song, and I happened to look around at him, and he had crocodile tears rolling down his face. I was like, "Oh, Lord, forgive me." I was going to murder him, and here it was, you know. But he had a big heart. He just didn't have it for. He loved kids and old folks.
Yeah.
He was good to me. He was a lot of fun.
How about Fox?
Foxy. Oh, Lord. Foxy did me and Greg got close in a hurry.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's over sports or how or what, but me and Greg were best buddies in those days. And Eldridge would come to me. We'd be getting off the bus after we pulled in. I don't even remember where we parked it. Oh, it's the Shell station.
Oh, yeah.
That Shell station in front of the Cracker Barrel.
Right.
And we pulled in there. We'd pull in there, and he'd lean over to me and say, "Monday Night Football in my house. Juanita's cooking chili." And back then he had the only big screen TV I'd ever seen.
Oh yeah.
It was one that they had to deliver it with a forklift because it was enormous, you know. I don't even know what you call one of them things. It was 6 foot deep, you know.
Yeah, big old piece of furniture type.
Yeah. Oh, it took 10 men to move. But Juanita'd always cook chili, and me and Greg and the elders watched Monday Night Football for a long, long time.
Yeah.
I played on lots of records for him, lots of records, and oh man, he hung me out to dry a time or two.
Oh really?
Yes, Lord. He'd say, "Son," he called me into his office one day. "Son, I've got something I want you to do." I said, "Well, what is it?" He said, I'm going to be out of town next, whatever date it was. And he said, "There's a group coming in, and I want you to produce this group. I think you can do it." And I was like, "You got to be kidding me." "No, it's just a small local group, but I want you to handle it."
Yeah.
"All right." Well, when they come in, I won't say any more about that family group, but it was abject disaster. There's about 7 of them singing 2 parts, you know, and
bless your heart.
Oh, man.
it was, and I realized pretty quick, he's like, "Let's see if I can get Tim to do this," you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a good experience, but it was clear as bell. And he got me a time or two like that. If he said, "Son, I want you to produce this record," I'd be like, "Oh, boy."
Oh no, you.
Oh, gracious.
Eldridge was great to me, and he cried like a baby when I left.
Yeah.
And he was good. And I tell you, it was funny. He'd set up there with me a lot of nights when I'd drive if he went. He didn't go all the time back then.
Right.
But just he was good to me, and he was true hearted about that.
Yeah.
He loved that singing, man. He loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Well, you traveled with Squire for a while, of course,
Yeah.
before your Kingsman days.
Yeah.
But I know you and Squire were close, and
Yeah.
give us some thoughts on Squire.
Squire was the best singer I've ever been around. When I went with him in whatever year that was, 85 or 6.
Yeah.
I feel like he was at the top of it, of what he did.
Yeah.
And it was just mind blowing to me. Mind blowing.
Incredible range.
Yeah, and just feel and spirit about him and the humbleness of it. I learned a lot just standing there soaking it up, He was the best there was in our industry of any kind, and was without question the most humble man in the business.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And he was good to me. We had a lot of fun and laughed a lot, and he was a funny guy. It was me and him and Ernie Haas.
Y'all had a great group.
And then Joe Fowler got hired to drive the bus, and he was a great bass singer.
Oh yeah, man.
He was a great bass singer, and Squire always loved the quartet thing, so it wasn't long till that was part of it. And he never said a word. It was one of the same deals. We never rehearsed. We never anything. We just first night I was with him, I got off the bus and we set up a bass amp and a couple of microphones, and it was Beulah Land.
Wow.
And I'll tell you, one of my favorites, Squire loved to eat, man. And as long as I knew him, he was on a diet.
Oh yeah, always on a diet. Yeah.
Yeah. He said, Landon's after me, son. I've got to lose 40 pounds. And one weekend he said, I've got it figured out. He called me Rattler. I got snake bit while I was with him. That's another story.
Oh.
My daddy thought it was hysterical, and he called me Rattler, and that's all the Squire ever called me. Old Rattler.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Rattler. He said, I've got it figured out. I'm only going to eat soup on this whole trip. So we'd find a steakhouse that had soup cauldrons in it, back in the and the first one we stopped at was like Marion, like 30 minutes from Asheville. And he ate like 6 bowls. One night we'd played wherever we played. Ernie'd gone to bed and Joe was driving. Me and Squire were sitting there and had the TV on. And you remember them old commercials for like Mounds bars or Almond Joys or something where they were pouring the chocolate over the top?
Yeah.
He was looking at it like he'd seen a ghost. He was looking at it and he said, "Oh Lord, pull over, Joe, pull over." And he went to some convenience store gas station. He come back with a sack. He had bought every one they had.
Oh man.
And we had such fun. And yeah, we had a pretty good trio or quartet, whatever.
Great. Yeah.
And it was a ton of fun.
Yes.
And it's just one of those deals where I was there a couple of years before Eldridge called me to go with the Kingsmen, but I never took for granted standing next to Squire Parsons,
Yes.
And that's everybody that sung gospel music should have done a Squire Parsons boot camp, not in a bad way,
Right.
but to see how to act.
Yes.
To see how to act.
Goodness, that's right.
He was exactly what he had portrayed himself to be, which is hard to find.
Yeah.
He was the same on the bus, on the stage. It didn't matter.
Well, I've often said this. As a younger man, I would say this guy's my hero, and that guy my hero, and that guy my hero. But the older I got, I could say I appreciated their gifts, their talent, or how they played or sang. But over the years, after getting to know some of the guys, not just Kingsmen, but people in gospel music, I would say I appreciate their gifts, but it was a very few handful of people, just a handful of people that I called my heroes.
Yeah.
Squire
He
was one of my heroes.
He was larger than life in stature, and then just
Absolutely.
in everything about him, his voice. He was, I saw somebody, you may have seen it. Somebody posted a picture the other day of him when he was the band director up there in West Virginia. Did you see
I
it?
saw that.
Gum. First album I did with him, me and Ernie and Joe showed up at the studio and he had our parts written out on a staff.
Wow.
Which, for all in the world to me, Joe Fowler said it looks like a bunch of little boys trying to get through a fence. It was all numbers to me, but he was a genius and just a gentle genius about it,
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, and not just to write the songs that he wrote, but come up with the melodies and all the stuff,
the harmony, the singing,
I mean,
all of it.
That's genius stuff to me.
It was, but
know?
he absolutely loved the old stuff.
Yeah,
he never got over the. He kind of got into it wasn't really contemporary. I don't know what you call it. With It Is the King of Kings and Oh, What a Moment. When they started getting into those upper echelon Baptist churches, it went that direction. But man, the crowd always came alive when he'd go to the piano and he'd call us up, and it was Glory Road and Master of the Sea. And
Jesus Will Lead Me.
Oh, how sweet. All that stuff.
Oh, yeah. That's my favorite Squire song for sure.
Oh, my Lord. All of that stuff was so good. And, and then Falling on Beulah. If you watched the first thing, I think it was the second weekend I was with him, we played PTL.
Okay.
And Joe was not there yet. And you see that video going around a lot. Squire was sitting at that big piano and me.
Yes. Yeah.
I think that was my second week with him, and he fell in on Beulah Land like that. And I about dropped the bass, man. I was like, I don't care who you are. That's incredible.
Yep. That's right.
One of a kind. Well, collected Winchester rifles.
Really? I didn't know that.
Did you know that?
No, I did not know that.
He's like, "Oh, Rattler, you got to see this gun I bought." He loved them. Squire hunted. He was a deer hunter.
Yeah. Well, I'd heard that, but I didn't realize he
collected like late 1800s Winchester rifles and stuff.
Oh my, okay. Seriously, old stuff, full time.
Yeah, Winchester like you'd see in a John Wayne movie.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I want to, before we close, I know Josh probably, I know, have you got more questions, Josh, on your end?
I'm good. I just want to say I appreciate you doing this. And
I do want to say one more thing, Tim. I want to thank you because you have always been one of my singing heroes.
Oh.
And, I tell singers when, they ask me about singing, I'll say, you can find the people you like to listen to and take a little bit of their voice, but make them your own.
Yeah.
So for me, I like Jim Hamill singing. I like Ep.20 singing. And back when I was growing up, Mike English was with the Singing Americans.
Oh, yeah.
And
love that record.
Hamill and Mike English and Jack Toney and Tim Surrett.
Well, I appreciate that.
I loved your voice. And in fact, I had a lady walk up to me one night. She said, you're a good singer, but you're not a pretty singer.
Yeah.
And
she didn't know. She clearly didn't know singing.
Well, at the time, she was probably telling the truth. And so that's when I really started listening to you. It was, 91, 92, 93. I started listening to you on your ballads, and I took a little bit of Tim Surrett and I tried to mix it in of what I was doing. And so you has always been one of my singing heroes. And I want to thank you for that, for all the years you spent with the Kingsmen. And even when you came back, and you were singing Carolina Boys, and they transitioned back to the Kingsmen again. But I want to thank your years for doing that, because you sure helped inspire me.
Well, I appreciate it, man. And likewise, I watched your stuff. I'll tell you, one of after you've been in it so long, it's hard to find anything that really moves you musically. And I'll tell you this, I probably never have, but we were together up at one of them Red Deer things.
Yeah.
And when y'all went on, I went up in the balcony and sat. I'm sure I was sitting by myself. And I'll never forget you singing that "Without Jesus."
Yeah.
My song is I said, that's as good as I ever heard. I sat up there and squalled like a baby. So it's
thank you.
Perfectly reciprocal, I promise.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you very much.
I remember that like I about found the seat. I'd go hear you sing that, and I'd go hear the Roop sing "Under His Wings." And that
yes, buddy.
I was good for the convention.
Yeah. If somebody never got to hear the Roops do "Under His Wings,"
yeah,
man, I tell you what, that was one of those songs that would make a Baptist shout. You know
Well,
what
if
I'm
you
saying?
didn't like that, you'd get out of my truck.
You better get out of here.
Oh, goodness. I'll mention this too, Tim. I appreciate you being kind to me over the years on Facebook and all. And one of my 3 bass guitar heroes, you, Adam Borden, and Jason Self. And
Well, I know them all.
I'll tell you, I got to talk to Tim Surrett. I've talked to Adam Borden several times, and I tell you what, it's just been great, man. I appreciate
Well,
you.
I appreciate that. I was a bass player, and I still am to this day. And I enjoy playing everything else, but there's nothing for me. I did it last night.
Yeah.
Playing that electric upright. There's still nothing for me like getting in the middle of a good band and playing. And Adam, what a jewel! I knew him when he was with the Singing Ambassadors.
Yeah, that's been 2 days ago.
With Tim Mays and those guys.
Yes.
Now there's a singer. But and Jason, he always acted like he told me one time, and I chewed his tail, which is funny because he's 3 times my size.
Yeah.
He said, "I'm just the equate version of you." I said, if you ever say that again, I'll climb up on something and knock you out. He played stuff I couldn't play, and he sang stuff I couldn't sing.
Man, yeah.
He was his own guy, and you can tell him I said that.
Jason was a good boy. We're going to get him on here. I was telling you, we talked about this earlier. I think when we get Jason Self on here, he was so quiet and so shy. It may be the shortest behind the crowd podcast episode we do.
When you get right in the middle of it, let me know and I'll pop on.
That's a great idea.
Yeah,
we
will have to do that.
Man, he's one of my favorites, man. He's a humble, good somebody. I hope he's still picking a little bit.
Yeah, he's a good boy. Good boy.
I'm glad you mentioned that. We'll have to do that. Thank you. Tim, y'all can listen to Tim now with Boston Range. They're doing some great stuff. When's the new CD coming out, new record?
We got a song coming out this Friday.
Good.
Okay. That one of the boys wrote with the world of music as it is. I don't know, to be honest, when we'll cut another full CD. The way of the world is now, you just keep cutting singles and sending them out.
Yeah. Moxie Metal's one of my favorites. That's a great
I appreciate that. Let's see. Was that no? We did another 1 or 2.
Yeah, that's right. That's a great album. I
Thank you.
My iPhone all
I
the
love
time.
bluegrass. I always did, and I always appreciated Hamill for the way that started. And I'll let you go, of course, but guitars and stuff on the bus.
Yeah.
Bill Monroe had an old song called, and it's the mournfulest thing it ever was, called "The Little Girl and the Dreadful Snake."
What a title!
Well, it's back in the 30s. They wrote songs about major news events or anything.
Okay.
And there was an event where a little girl got lost in the woods and fell in a well and got bit by a snake. And they kept trying to find her. They couldn't find her. And of course, she passed away. And it was a Bill Monroe song. And he'd say, "Sing me that one about that snake again." Somehow or other, that ended up on the stage. So,
oh man, I tell you what, this has been another great episode of Behind the Crown podcast with our special guest, Tim Surrett, and your host, Josh Griffin and Brian Hudson. Appreciate y'all listening so much. Remember, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and all the other major streaming platforms with podcasts. We're also on YouTube as well, and look for us on Facebook, Behind the Crown Podcast. Be sure to check out Boston Range, check their schedule when they're in your area. Go be with them and buy all their music. I'm telling you, they make some great bluegrass music, great stuff. We appreciate y'all so much. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Behind the Crown podcast with your hosts, Brian Hudson and Josh Griffin. If you would, please like, rate, and share this episode. Join us again for another episode of the Behind the Crown podcast.